Welcome back to Cycle Wisdom, where we empower women to restore natural menstrual cycles to improve health and promote fertility. I'm your host, Dr. Monica Minjeur, and I'm so glad you're listening today. On today's episode, we're going to talk about coming off of hormonal birth control. Now, this is going to apply to either stopping the birth control pill, having an implant or hormonal IUD removed, or stopping depot shots. We're going to talk a little bit about what to expect from a timeline standpoint when it comes to stopping any of these methods of hormonal contraception. We will also review potential side effects to prepare for, as well as ways to help your body heal after stopping these artificial hormones. Finally, we will discuss alternative options you have when it comes to avoiding pregnancy or evaluating and treating your menstrual-related symptoms in a way that works in concert with your body. So let's get started today with a patient story about a client of mine who we'll call Molly. Now, Molly came to see me because she was dealing with erratic menstrual bleeding and depression symptoms. When we started to visit, one of the first things I noticed is that she had been taking birth control pills for the past 5 years. When I asked her more about this, she told me that her last primary care doctor had started her on the medication to try and help with menstrual migraines and irregular cycles. Unfortunately, although Molly had some improvement in her migraines, she did not have any improvement of her menstrual cycles, and in fact was having issues where she was bleeding or spotting for more than 3 weeks out of the month. She was also trying to avoid pregnancy at the time, so thought that hormonal birth control pills were her only option. Luckily, a friend told Molly about our clinic, and she came to see me for a second opinion. The first thing I told her was that we were going to work together to help her get off the birth control pills because they were likely making her underlying symptoms worse and certainly were not doing her any favors when it came to helping with her menstrual cycle symptoms. Molly was very concerned about trying to avoid pregnancy, and she was wanting to manage her menstrual cycle symptoms as well, so she knew she would need an alternative. She also was very nervous because she had multiple friends who had stopped the pill in the past and had negative side effects with that. So she needed more information on what to expect. We started off with getting Molly set up with one of our fertility awareness method charting instructors, and they were able to give her instructions to help her avoid pregnancy while she was making that transition off of oral contraceptives and trying to determine when her fertility actually returned. More importantly, we were able to help Molly get off of the birth control that was just covering up her underlying symptoms. We worked together to find an appropriate diagnosis and treatment plan to address her menstrual migraines and her irregular cycles in a way that worked with her body, while avoiding the negative side effects from the birth control pill that she had been suffering with for such a long time. So, how do I actually stop hormonal birth control? Ultimately, you can stop hormonal birth control at any time. However, I typically recommend that if you are taking the pill, that you would stop taking it at the end of a pill pack when you are having your withdrawal bleed. As far as getting any devices removed like an IUD or implant, this can be done at any point in time. As for depot shots, just don't go back for your next one. The actual stopping part of the hormones is quite simple, but what happens next is typically what worries people a little more. So when it comes time to watching your fertility return, we know that some women have a pretty immediate return of their fertility and can get pregnant right away within the first cycle after stopping their birth control. Other women can experience a longer time to see their cycles return. Now, even if your menstrual cycles return fairly quickly, ovulation can be delayed from returning to normal right away. This is all based on many different factors, so unfortunately, there's no way to predict how long it will take you personally to start getting cycles back or to regain fertility. Most women will have a return of normal cycles within about 3 months of stopping their hormonal contraception, assuming that they don't have any other underlying conditions. Now, if you had started on hormonal birth control in order to try and correct an underlying menstrual issue, it is likely that issue will return again if the root cause has not been corrected. So, for example, if you are somebody who had irregular cycles and you were put on the pill, and it ended up being that it was undiagnosed PCOS, your irregular cycles will likely return again after you stop taking the pill. PCOS doesn't just go away because you are on birth control and your body is being forced into having a withdrawal bleed. In fact, some conditions can actually get worse when you are on hormonal birth control, which is why I never recommend it for any reason in the first place. Another thing to note is the importance of working with healthcare professionals who understand what's going on with your cycles and can help you get to that root cause of your underlying concerns. The last thing you need is to just go back on a quick fix of hormonal birth control, which can mask the underlying problem and cause potential long-term side effects and complications. One of the scariest things for women as they are transitioning off of birth control can be the stories they've heard from friends or online that have told them what it's like to withdraw from these medications. Now, in most cases, the side effects are from the artificial hormones getting out of your system and from your body trying to recalibrate to your normal baseline again. Sometimes these symptoms are more prevalent in women who have been on some form of birth control for a longer period of time, but how long you have been on hormonal birth control is not the only factor that determines to what degree of severity you may experience symptoms. The most common side effects women report when transitioning off of birth control are mood swings, irritability, and anxiety or panic attacks. Now, this is as your body is adjusting to not having those excessively high levels of estrogen and/or progesterone in your system. It can take a bit of time for your body to adjust to what's normal and finding the balance to regulate that in a more healthy way. Other physical symptoms that I like people to be aware of include headaches, breast tenderness, nausea, acne, hair loss, and temperature dysregulation, which can include chills or hot flashes. These symptoms oftentimes show up because they are regulated by the other hormones like thyroid, testosterone, estrogen, and cortisol that you've been suppressing by taking birth control. Once your body is trying to cycle again, it's working hard to restart a lot of these other systems that have been offline for a while, and this can manifest as some of those physical symptoms. The other category we talk about is that you will most certainly experience some sort of changes specific to your menstrual cycles. This may mean irregular periods, erratic bleeding, heavier periods, or sometimes lighter periods. Again, your body is working to get back on track with where your baseline for normal hormone production is as you work to reactivate your hypothalamus, pituitary gland, and ovaries to produce the hormones needed for normal cycle regulation. The one good side effect that many women experience coming off of hormonal birth control is an increase in their libido. Many women report that birth control decreases their libido because it's trying to just make your hormones at the same level every single day. This can decrease your natural estrogen and testosterone response, which decreases libido. Luckily, this can make a comeback after stopping hormonal birth control as your hormones get back to normal, and many women will experience an increase back to their baseline of libido. So, how can I help my body to heal and get things back on track more naturally? One important piece of information that many women don't know is that oral contraceptives or the pill can cause nutritional deficiencies by blocking the absorption of some vital nutrients. The most common ones we see that decrease specifically are folic acid, vitamin B, vitamin C, as well as magnesium, selenium, and zinc. Now, if you've listened to some of my other podcast episodes, we talk about the importance of these particular vitamins, not only on menstrual cycle health, but also on your overall health, specifically with your cortisol and thyroid levels, which control all the rest of the hormones and every cell in your body. And so it's really important to make sure that as you are coming off of birth control, that you have a good quality diet to help with getting some of these nutritional deficiencies corrected. If needed, you should work with a healthcare professional who understands what it's like to come off of birth control to determine if you need any actual replacement of these vitamins in particular. Now, I'm not an advocate for starting on high doses of supplements without appropriate testing first, but rather focusing on what your body needs and making a decision as to how best to get these nutrients in through food or supplements when needed. One of the most common questions that I get asked when people are coming off of birth control, other than what am I going to experience, is what other options do I have to avoid pregnancy if I don't want to be on hormonal birth control? My response always includes information about charting your cycles using a fertility awareness-based method. And really, this goes beyond just tracking when you're having your period, but also looking at different vital signs of your body in order to determine, when am I ovulating? How long is my menstrual cycle lasting, and how much am I bleeding? How long is my fertile window? All of these pieces can help you to identify not only when you are fertile, but also when you're not. So if you're trying to avoid pregnancy, you are able to know day by day, if you have intercourse that day, is there a possibility of getting pregnant during that time? More importantly, though, we're looking at your overall health from a standpoint of helping to correct underlying menstrual symptoms. So if you were started on some form of hormonal birth control to correct an underlying menstrual problem, we utilize your charting in order to tell me more about what's going on with your cycle. This allows us to develop an appropriate diagnosis with precise lab evaluation, and then to create a unique treatment plan for you based on what's going on with your cycle from day to day and month to month. We also take into account what your long-term goals are in regards to either achieving or avoiding a pregnancy. Ultimately, my goal is to help you have a better understanding of what's going on with your body, to be an amazing health advocate for yourself, and to avoid potential harmful side effects that you may have from being on hormonal birth control, whether that's short-term or long-term. I would love the opportunity to help you or someone you know make the change to ditch your hormonal birth control and move forward in a direction of more natural women's healthcare that honors your body in a truly restorative way. If you're ready to work with our elite team of healthcare professionals, go to our website, radiantclinic.com, to schedule a free discovery call with me and learn more about our package-based pricing for healthcare. We customize your treatment plan and include options to access fertility awareness charting experts, a hormone coach, a registered dietitian, a health coach, and of course, all the medical care you need from me as a board-certified physician. We are currently able to see people for in-person appointments in the Cedar Rapids, Iowa area, or can arrange for a telehealth visit if you live in the state of Iowa. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Please share this podcast with someone in your life who would benefit from our services. Remember to subscribe to this podcast for more empowering content. I sincerely appreciate your support, and I look forward to sharing more with you on our next episode of Cycle Wisdom.